just for me now. I like it like that. Soothe me, baby, soothe me. Soothe me with your kindness. For you know your powerful love.
Hey, welcome everyone. This is the third episode of really leadership talks. I think Javier's calling them couch talks. So what they really are conversations about leadership. Before I get started, and today what we're going to do, we're going to talk about success, because that's actually, I think, what everyone strives for is success. We're going to do a deep dive into what success is and what it takes to become successful. Before I do that though, I want to give a shout out to my guy Javier. I don't know what we call you, Javier. What's the title? I'm not sure, but without him, this thing doesn't happen. And I really want to say thanks to him, and really thanks for putting this together and making this work. Because I am a Luddite, and there is no way I would be able to do this without him. Also, he allows me to have someone to talk to. I just can't talk in this space. So we're going to talk about success. And the first question is, what is success? A lot of people think success is wealth. Some people will say it's title. Some people will say it's accomplishing great feats. When I think of success, I think of that quote by Gandhi, which said, happiness is our thoughts, our words, and our actions aligned. And I think that's ultimately what success is walking our own journey, doing what we say we're committed to, fulfilling on why we say we're here. And that's what today's talk is going to be about. And so when you think about that, there has to be a purpose bigger than just making more money, or bigger than getting that title, or bigger than just winning that game. You know, so the question becomes, what is that thing that is greater than you, that actually gives you that passion and that desire to get up every day and go take on whatever it is you're taking on? To be successful, first we want to identify that. Once we identify that, then it becomes a little bit easier to put in the practices of what it means to be successful. There's a great book called What's Your Genius by a guy named Jay Niblick. Jay Niblick is the founder of the IMX Corporation, which has created this really powerful kind of leadership profile tool, but that's too simplistic. It really looks at how you do things, what you do, and why you do them. It actually gets you in touch with yourself. Jay says, success is equal to our self-awareness plus our authenticity. So if we think about that, success, fulfilling on the commitment we have, following our path, doing what it is we think we're here to do, okay, and doing so in a way that's effective, is dependent upon us actually becoming self-aware and operating authentic. So what does it mean to be self-aware? Self-awareness, I think, is if there's any one thing that's missing in the world today, it's self-awareness. It's understanding who we are. It's being responsible for the wake we leave. When you walk in the room, it's really understanding what's the impact when you come in. And I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about really understanding you as a human being. And we're not trained that very well. We don't have ways to discover this. We get feedback, but that's also determined by the bias we get. So what do we do to know ourselves? We actually have to start inquiring, what does it mean to be me? And when we look at ourselves, it's more than the successes we've had. It's more than the great wins we had. It's more than the attributes we had. It's more than me being 6'1", right? And all the measurable things. We also want to look at, what are the dark sides? What are the fears? What are the things we don't like about us? What are the things that scare us about us? And actually coming to terms with those. I'm not a big Carl Jungian follower, but he had this thing where we needed to learn our dark side, our shadow side. And it's what are the lessons of that help us to be in better relationship with ourselves so we can move forward and we can know. Here's the problem. If we don't know our weaknesses, our pitfalls, our triggers per se, when the going gets tough, those things are going to get kicked in and we're going to crumble. If you look at the training that anybody who's in any type of intensive experiences, be it firemen or policemen or Navy SEALs, but what they try to do is take you to that breaking point, because it's at that breaking point where you really understand yourself and what your capacities are. It's not to break you, it's to make you aware of one's own limitations. As Clint Eastwood says, a man's got to know his limitations, right? And yeah, it's a great line in a movie, but it's so true. Because it's by knowing those limitations, we also know what's possible with us. So that's one of the things we got to do. We got to get into a discovery process about who we are. Once we fully discover who we are, once we understand what that thing is, it gives us being in action. Once we are clear on what our passions are and our desires, once we're clear on what matters, then what we can do, we can use that self-knowledge and we accept ourselves. And we fully get, not from ego, but from pure acceptance, which as Gary Zukav says, is really what love is. Once we really get in a place of self-love and acceptance of ourselves, everything we are and everything we aren't, we can then begin our journey forward. And that self-knowledge, that's what authenticity is. Authenticity would then be the expression of who we are from our full understanding of ourselves. That doesn't mean you're perfect. It might not even mean you're nice. But what it is, it means you're authentic. And so coming from being authentic, you actually create the foundation so that you can actually start developing relationships and trust. And that's really what I think is so important. We want to have our actions informed by our commitments then, as opposed to having our actions informed by something like, oh, because it's going to make somebody happy, or because it's going to look good, or we're going to get a bonus, or we're going to get acknowledged or get put on TV or something like that. Yeah, that's all part of the normal day-to-day stuff that we live in a commercial enterprise. But what it's really about is how can we move forward authentically in a way that makes the most difference and fulfills our commitment. So anyway, that's just a little bit of the idea of what success is. The whole idea of these talks is actually spur conversation. And if you have any questions or want to further this conversation or are interested in communicating, please feel free to reach out to me. You can get me at my email address, which is mikesherrick@gmail.com. You can call me, which is 630-643-6336. I probably won't answer, but you can send me a text or leave a voicemail. You can check me out on LinkedIn. It's Michael Sherrick, I think. You can check me out on Instagram. It's Mike Sherrick Coaching. We got this YouTube, which is cool, thanks to Javier. And it's Mike Sherrick Coaching also. And you can get me on Twitter, which I believe is the real M Sherrick or something like that, you know. Also, too, in this video, the first 3 people who respond, I would like to offer you a free IMX profile and debrief. What this is a 77-page report, and it comes with a debrief, which takes anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. I promise you, in getting that report, you will begin to get in touch with who you really are and look at the places and understand all your strengths, some of your blind spots, and really what's possible for you. It's a great first step in anyone who's committed to moving forward. So that's the first 3 people. Just reach out to me, and I'm more than willing to. I got to send you a link. It takes about 20 minutes to do and about an hour to debrief. So there's about an hour and a half commitment on your part if you want to take part in that. Other than that, I think that's it. Thanks for checking in with us. This is the 3rd episode, and what I think is going to be at least 20 or 25 episodes on leadership. And again, I want to shout out to my guy Javier for putting this all together. Thank you very much. See you next time.